What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crunch Time with Caitlin. On this episode, I got another guest, my boy Pete, and we're probably gonna scream at each other while we talk about the Indians. So,
Hashtag hot takes.
yeah, hashtag hot take. So, what up, Pete? How's it going?
Not much, just chilling.
Yep. So we'll just get right into it. We disagree about a lot about the Indians, and basically, my premise is there's a lot more to be concerned about than I think you think there is. Is that correct?
Uh, I I think not necessarily concerning. I just how do I put it? I think we kind of clicked the overreact button a little too quickly. That's all. I think we clicked that panic button. I just I don't think as much as there is something to be concerned about, I'm not panicking right now. There and it just sounds like a lot of people are panicking.
No, yeah, I mean, I think there are extremes. Like there's the extreme of people who are like, well, let's fire Terry Francona. He's a terrible, game manager, and it's like, well, he's not.
He's not the reason for
Yeah,
this.
I mean, he's not. If anything, like he's the reason why we are where we are. Like he does have questionable things. Like he only.
But so do all managers.
Yeah, but I think his are like, why do you consistently use the same three bullpen arms? And it's like you say, hey, I want 8 bullpen arms, but you only use the same three. You only would use whoever was your lefty, Brian Shaw and Cody Allen. Now it's probably going to be Andrew Miller, Allen, and Brian Shaw. Which one of my concerns was, okay, and we seen it the past week was, okay, so the starting pitching isn't like they have a bad few games. What, like, guys like Zach McAllister, guys like whoever the rookie is on the team, um,
Well,
Kyle Crawford.
they've been flipping a lot.
Well,
There's
that's
a
what I'm
lot of
saying. That's why I said, insert
they've been
whoever rookie, Sean.
insert more Armando, insert TJ House, insert Cody Anderson.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, so you put these guys in, and it's like, you, the 4-run lead that you had, or the 4-run, deficit, you bring them in, and it's an 8-run deficit. I'm just like, this is a bit concerning. Having a catcher only hitting 200, that's
I
extremely
think actually
concerning.
two catchers that are barely hitting 200.
Uh,
I agree with you on the catcher remark. That's kind of concerning. Not that Jan Gomes was putting up better numbers, but Jan Gomes also had a lot better of a chemistry with a lot of our pitchers. So it made them a lot easier to throw better games. Um, Personally, again, I think this was just an overall bad week for the pitching. It's just like I don't know if it was just a mental mindset or I don't know if it was just everybody just got on bad mechanics at the wrong time. Hanging pitches, everybody was it just looked sloppy out there. I mean, it got better in New York this weekend. But Josh Tomlin was just throwing like Josh Tomlin. He's gonna leave a lot of pitches over the plate, but that's what he does. Um, it's just I think with the bullpen situation, it's more of the guys that we use that aren't Otero, Shaw, Miller, Allen are basically they're situational guys. They're not guys that you're gonna want to rely on for an inning or guys you're gonna want to consistently rely on to give you scoreless innings. Those are guys you want to match up with. Because ideally, when you set up a ball club, you're looking when you set it up around your starting pitching, like the Indians have, you're like, okay, well, if I can get 6 solid innings from Kluber, I can go Otero, maybe a mix of a little matchup. Like maybe if you like a lefty against one of those hitters coming in the seventh, you go Otero, then you go Crockett for one batter, then you either go Shaw or Miller or Allen, whatever you're feeling like in the eighth, and then whatever's left in the ninth. So I just think it was just kind of a bad week when it came in terms of just we weren't able to do that. We had to get people out there to eat innings, and I think it kind of bit us in the ass because that's not how this team is built. So as concerning as it may be because of 1 week, and I know the 6-game lead went from 6-2. Detroit's piping hot right now. I think we're going to get right back to where we were with the pitching and being able to use the bullpen at the way we want to. And not have to keep calling guys up for 2-3 innings just to get the bullpen some rest.
No, yeah, and go ahead.
I was just saying, I see it a lot on Twitter, and I see it a lot. I just see a lot of, okay, well, here comes the August collapse, and here comes everything that we built come crashing down. It's not going to come crashing down. We're in a situation right now where if we play 500 baseball for the rest of the season, we're looking at an 85 to 90 win season. Which, honestly, the way the division's playing right now should win you a division. The only contender – yeah. You continue. Let me have you say something. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. I mean, the only contender with the Indians is it's looking like Detroit. And
yeah, if you win 85 to 90 ball games, you should be able to win this division. There is no single doubt in my mind about that.
And I think the only way you're getting into the playoffs is winning this division, because you see the AL East, and there's like three teams within 2 games, and you have in the West you still got Houston and then Texas.
Still got Houston. I mean, Texas is probably going to win that division, but you still got Houston. Seattle's not going away by any means. You need to win this division if you want to say that you're going to make even postseason this year.
No, absolutely.
I mean, like you said, AL East. You're talking about 3 of the best offenses in Major League Baseball. AL West, I mean, Texas is Texas. And Houston just is another just stacked team. And Seattle's doing the right things too right now. So, I mean, to be concerned, I think it brings up a red flag, but I don't necessarily think that the panic button is something you want to click.
Well, I'm not even clicking the panic button, right now. But I'm just saying, like, I can't trust Kyle Crockett to come in for one batter. I can't trust, Zach McAllister to just give me 3 batters, if that, And that's basically what was my premise of, Zach McAllister, he's just not good. Why is he on this team? And which is why I love the Andrew Miller signing or trade, but at the same I love the Andrew Miller trade, but I also thought that the back end of the bullpen really wasn't a weak spot. Cody Allen he gives us all heart attacks, but you look at the stats and it's like actually he's really good.
Honestly, though, if you really look at it, other than maybe Aroldis Chapman, I mean, look at example Trevor Rosenthal. He used to be one of the most elite closers in Major League Baseball. Look at what happened to him this year. I think all closers are actually going to give you heart attacks. I think Cody Allen, I honestly, maybe I'm just really high on the guy. I just think he's one of the better closers in Major League Baseball. I just don't think he gets that many opportunities. I think we put him more in the 9th inning when we're not, how do I put it? There's not really a lot of situations this year where we've needed saves. We've been winning ball games by either good margins or losing ball games by good margins. He's only had like 22 save opportunities August.
No, and of the 62 wins, 22 of them have been because of, have been closed out because of saves. 20, Cody Allen, 1 Dan Otero, and Andrew Miller Saturday.
And that just shows you what kind of games we've been playing this year. But I will comment on this. This is where maybe the argument, the English, maybe when the arguing is going to start a little. I will say that I can trust Kyle Crockett for a batter because I think he went up against one of the best left-handed hitters in baseball by the name of Bryce Harper twice. Got him out both times. and left-handed appearances. Also got Joe Mauer out on a really huge pitch. I mean, I get it that I can't trust him necessarily for a full inning, depending on matchups. That's depending on what Tito wants to do, but I can't say that I can't trust these guys. You just have to use them the right way. I just don't think Tito's been able to use them the way that we usually use them because of the way the starting pitching has pitched.
No,
I
yeah,
think that's
and well, just this
continue.
past week though.
Yeah, just
You
this
know, with
past
the
week.
starting pitching, because I'm not concerned about the starting pitching at all. I'm now
Yeah.
like, yeah, everybody has bad starts. Everybody goes through bad stretches. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, you know, it's extremely frustrating. Like a game like last night or yesterday, when you know, on any given day, you're like Carlos Carrasco, you give up 3 runs. Like that's exactly what you kind of hope for, but you only score 2, and it's like it is what it is.
Well, yesterday is just those are one of those games that you kind of have to shrug your shoulders and say, what
Exactly.
can you really do about it? Because you have Masahiro Tanaka on the mound, and he is just throwing. His splitter was nasty, his slider was nasty. He was locating pitches all over the place. I mean, he was Masahiro Tanaka. That's basically what it was yesterday. I think also we had our opportunities. I just think sometimes it doesn't go your way.
No, yeah.
I also think the game should have actually. I mean, if it was in any other ballpark other than Yankee Stadium, that ball's tied because I really don't think that DD ball goes out. If you're talking another ballpark, really.
No, yeah.
Other than maybe Fenway and maybe Progressive Field if it's blowing out, but no, it should have been a 2-2 ball game. But yeah, that's just one of those games. Either way, overall with the bullpen, I just think I'm not that concerned with the bullpen because we built this bullpen to use it a certain way, and this week we haven't been able to use it that way. And that's why I think the struggles come in. And then it doesn't help when you have to keep flipping guys in and out just for us to get some more, just fresh arms in the pen. It kind of like rips the chemistry right out of there.
No, and yeah, you kind of have to like rebuild it right now since you got Andrew Miller, and it's still up in the air how we're gonna even use him, like just depending on the situation, I guess. But
honestly, I think it's already settled the way we use them. I think you use them kind of like what Tito said. It's a closer by committee, and I really like that. I like it how there's not one specific guy who's going to close out a ball game. I like how you can say, okay, well, you know what? Today I want to go Allen because I like the matchups better. Or I can say, you know what? Today I'm going to go Allen in the 8th and I'm going to go Miller 9th. I like that. I just like the idea of being able to play around with it a little bit. Gives me more flexibility.
No, yeah. And I guess my whole concern about the bullpen was basically, like I said, I don't know if you listened to my little spiel about the Indians.
Oh, I listened to your little spiel, and we have a whole other catcher situation we have to get to too. So.
Yeah, and then we'll just talk about the Indians overall. But just last thing about the bullpen, I guess it was just more, throughout the entire season, and you just look at the stats for like Zach McAllister, and it's like, he has a 5+ ERA.
Yeah.
Like you have all the, you bring in, you start with, Ross Detweiler, and he just has a terrible, beginning. Tom Grizzolani.
Tom Gorzelani.
Yeah, not right. Good. He hasn't been what is it? Let me see. 7 games he played. Yeah, he gave up 7 earned runs. Kyle Crockett, he's given up 8 earned runs in 20 games, and it's like that matchup lefty now, especially how baseball is just so important, which is why I think someone like maybe a Will Smith might have been more valuable for this team than someone like Andrew Miller. Just for that fact of he could go in the 6th or 7th, give you a full inning. He matches up extremely well against lefties and righties.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have Brian Shaw, Cody Allen.
Yeah. I honestly, I can see where your argument is. I'm actually surprised that we're not actually going at each other's teeth right now. I can see it, but I honestly think that Miller was actually the right fit. As much as I would say if it wasn't Miller, it would have probably been Will Smith.
No, yeah.
I said Will Smith would probably be the number 2 best fit. I think Andrew Miller, I think he fills the same role that what Will Smith would have did. I mean, only difference is that I can trust Andrew Miller to close out games. Will Smith, I wouldn't have been able to trust to close out games.
No, yeah.
But I mean, you see Tito still using them in the 6th. You still see Tito, but that's why I'm saying that I like the whole idea of not having this one set guy as our closer, because it allows us to kind of play around with things. I mean, I know Bryan Shaw isn't necessarily having a career year, but he is getting the job done in a sense. So you can play around with him. I think you can play around with Cody a lot because Cody can go in the 8th or the 7th. I mean, Otero has proven that he should be able to go. That he deserves to be able to go in late game situations. And then obviously Andrew Miller is just straight up filthy. I think you have actually a beautiful way of, in a twisted way, you have a combination of a 6, 7, 8, 9. So it just, I think the other pieces that you build around that are kind of just matchup pieces. And like I keep stating, I think this week just really came down to we weren't able to use those matchup pieces the way we like, and that's what's cost us ball games, other than the fact that our pitching needs to be a lot better when it comes to starting pitching.
Well, I think when you say like the matchup, so it's like you bring in someone like Zach McAllister to give you 2 innings, but it's like he can't even get out of 1 without giving.
But that's my point.
2 runs.
That's my point, though, is that I don't want, unless we are up, or unless I just need my arms are really running on fumes right now. I'm using Zach McAllister as a, here, let's look at example. Let's look at Minnesota's lineup, for example. You have Brian Dozier, Joe Mauer, Max Kepler, back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're looking at the 7th inning, you're looking at a tie ball game. Well, not even 7th inning, because then you could just go one of your back guys. But let's say you're looking at the 5th inning and you're looking at matchups now, because let's say Trevor Bauer's gassed. Let's say Trevor Bauer's at 99, 100 pitches. He's kind of struggling his way through it. He's obviously on fumes. If you're looking next inning, obviously you got your big matchup sheet in front of you. You got all the averages against each pitcher. To me, I'm going to use McAllister against Dozier. That's a righty. And then you just flip to a Kyle Crockett right afterwards. I'm not using McAllister for a whole inning.
Yeah, but that's his job, though. His job is to eat innings from the bullpen, if that makes sense, because he was a former starter.
No,
and that's basically my thing. It's like Zach McAllister has one job, Kyle Crockett has one job, and this year they just haven't done their job, and that's basically my thing. If Zach McAllister goes out and or even Sean Miramondo, Friday, if he just goes out and doesn't give up 4 runs in the 6th or 7th inning, it's a tie game because we came back.
Yeah.
The same thing against Minnesota with Crockett and Zach McAllister. That's just my little thing, and that's where that's my point is, we have a solid bullpen. We have solid guys like Allen and Miller. And Shaw, if you subtract the 3 terrible outings,
occasional bad outing,
his ERA is still his ERA right now is 3.80.
And honestly, for a guy like him, I can take that.
Exactly. And if you subtract the terrible outing in Chicago the first week of the year and the one in Kansas
City, yeah.
His ERA is still 2. So, and you don't want to keep going to Dan Otero, because he has a 1.60 ERA in 41 games, but it's you don't want to overuse him too either.
Yeah, you see what happens to a guy like Bryan Shaw now, because with Bryan Shaw, I think it's kind of we're starting to get what we deserve with Bryan Shaw, because we've overused him these last 3 years, and I think it's starting to kind of finally show up in his arm a little.
And I think that's what is a bit concerning when people do talk about Terry Francona. It's he just consistently use the same three guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
I meant to comment on that earlier, and I didn't for some reason. Tito has this problem. I don't think Tito's the most perfect manager in the league. I don't think there is any such thing as a perfect manager.
I don't know, Joe Madden, he's pretty perfect.
I wouldn't say perfect. Joe Madden's a great manager, but I wouldn't say perfect. Either way, I think Tito has this issue, and I call and ask Todd, for example, I call him Tito-isms. Mm-hmm. It's when he believes too much in his guys. You see it. We saw it a lot this year with Corey Kluber. We still see it a lot nowadays. I mean, I'm looking at one outing, for example. Let's say Corey Kluber. Remember that outing earlier this year in Tampa where he was throwing the ball great, but he let him go into the 8th inning.
Yeah,
like 115 pitches, and he gives up a 3-run homer to Forsythe. Yep. And there goes your lead, and there goes your ball game. That's a Tito-ism. And I think these last 3 years, I think we've had to lean so heavily on them. And that does go to your point that this bullpen, and I can agree, in previous years has made it so we've had to overuse them like that. Now, to me, in fairness to, how do I put it? In fairness to the, like, McAllister and Crockett, think about it this way, too. How many times have we had to use them in these situations that they needed an inning and couldn't give up a run all year? We haven't had to use them in those situations all year because the starting pitching has been so dominant. We've been spoiled these last 3 months, other than this week, with pretty much God-gifted started pitching. We've never had to really use those guys. That 14-game win streak, or how many ever games it was, I actually kind of forget.
No, it was 14.
It was 14? 14-game win streak? I mean, we never really had to use them like that.
No, the offense was fantastic. Like, I think
the offense helped us a lot, too. Yep. I mean, that's another conversation with the offense. But to me, it's just, in fairness to them, I can't necessarily say it's a red flag because we haven't had to use them like that all year. So it's just kind of like, I don't think we're going to have to use them much more like that all year. Because I really feel like this pitching is going to get, especially now that Carrasco and Kluber have kind of set the tone again. I think we're going to be okay there. I would like to see the bullpen maybe bring back Jabba Chamberlain. I mean, we also do have Joe Thatcher in the minor leagues. I don't know how he's doing right now. But, I mean, there's another guy you can use. The waiver trade deadline is not over yet. You could still go grab someone like an Arzep if you can talk the Oakland Athletics into releasing them. But, I mean, to me, it's just I don't see it as that much of a glaring concern.
I mean, I guess the grander scheme of things, it probably isn't. What's concerning is, I mean, like I said, the bullpen a little bit. Whoever's catching, and we'll get into that right now.
Yeah.
I don't care how much it affects chemistry. And you could, and I know it's a different sport, obviously, but you could see someone like Richard Jefferson. He was great for the Cavs and their chemistry.
Yeah, but I saw that.
What also made him great was, hey,
he performed in the finals.
He performed in the finals. Like, he performed all year. And you can't count on, I don't care how much people like Roberto Perez, like, he's hitting .093.
He did have 2 hits yesterday. But
he doubled his hit total for this year.
I'm not completely in a disagreement with you on that one either. I called up Todd as soon as the Yan Gomes injury happened, and I just kind of said, as soon as obviously word came out, it was a dislocated shoulder, even though obviously it didn't look pretty when we all saw it, that I said, this is going to affect us in the long run. Because I know chemistry doesn't matter that much to you. I think it does. I think basketball and baseball are a little bit different of a sport. I think chemistry matters a lot more in baseball. But I will agree with you that Perez with a bat is kind of like Nick Swisher without knee braces. It's
just not
pretty
good.
sad.
It's extremely pathetic, and you can't even say, well, or I mean, I guess you could say, well, he walks a lot because he has 11 walks in 56 plate appearances, and it's like,
I mean, the
but you need to get on
guy's
base.
doing what he can.
You need to get hits, please.
Yeah, look, here's the way I put it. There's a reason why the Indians went out and also made the trade for Lucroy. Obviously, it didn't work out. But there's a reason why we did that, and it's because they understand that there's a glaring concern there. I don't necessarily think that Roberto Perez is the worst catcher in history. I just think he's at a huge disadvantage right now because think about it. The guy's basically his ligament in his thumb got torn, week 2, week 3 of the season, and he's been out ever since.
No, yeah, and I do understand that point of, he really didn't have any minor league at bats because right when he came back, Yan Gomes got hurt.
Because right when he was ready to go, Yan Gomes happen. So we had to pull him up right away.
But also at the same time, I think you can say if you wanted Roberto Perez, and I know I tweeted this out last night. There's like you just can't have him on this team right now because you're an American League team. You need a hitter. You need someone who's at least hitting 200. At least Chris Gimenez is doing that, and he could put down a
Chris
sacrifice
Gimenez
bunt.
is just another guy that's kind of doing what he can.
Exactly, and I don't. I think if anyone, if you get a Kurt Suzuki or a Carlos Ruiz or a Brian McCann, you keep Chris Gimenez because of his chemistry with Trevor Bauer.
I was about to say, I mean, if you're going to get another upgrade there, which I honestly, as much as I would actually personally like to see it, I don't think it's going to happen.
And I think that might be the downfall of this team because it's like, the thing about Yan Gomes, even though he was hitting a terrible 165, is that he was still a threat power-wise.
Yes, and you knew that if you left that guy a pitch over the plate, he would mash it.
Exactly.
You knew that. You knew. I mean, just the way Yan Gomes swings. If you're going to give him a first pitch curveball and it's going to sit over the plate, that ball's going over the left field wall, going 390 at least.
Exactly, and with Roberto Perez, just his swing, it's a very line drive kind of. Yeah,
it's an opposite field kind of swing.
Yeah, it's like you can't count on him to mash the ball.
It's just, yeah, I agree with you. Not that Chris Gimenez is the most reliable bat either.
No, I'm not saying that at all either.
I mean, to me, it's just unless you want to go and eat up a contract. Or if you want to go and try to get a Brian McCann, even though other teams are going to know we're desperate right now and up the ante for it. I just think, I don't know if that's where we turn, because I think we're kind of at the point of the season now where we kind of just have to go with what we have. As much as the catcher situation sucks, because it completely sucks, Roberto Perez if he was seasoned and he was, kind of in the groove with everybody else, I would say that, yeah, he could probably start on not any other team, but a lot of other teams in baseball. But he was put at such a disadvantage right out the gate. Chris Gimenez has done what he could. I mean, if it isn't for Chris Gimenez, Trevor Bauer is not Trevor Bauer.
No, exactly.
We're still crossing our fingers our Cody Anderson. Mm-hmm. I just don't know where you turn on that one. You could go get somebody else, send Berto down, completely ruin his confidence for now, and then next season comes and you need a backup catcher or something like that happens, and he's completely screwed, even though we shouldn't be thinking about next year right now. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you look at the bigger spectrum of things. I just goodness gracious. I'm it's a sucky catcher situation and I don't know where to go with it. I mean, we can hope with Berto. I mean, his swing looked pretty decent yesterday. You got 2 solid line drive base hits. I mean, Chris Jimenez hit that huge home run on Friday night. I think you kind of have to live with it at this point. I don't think there's anything you can do unless you want to go give up a lot more than we should for a middle of the line catcher.
I mean,
and
I guess
well, I mean, look at the minor league system. What else do we have in the minor league system?
not that much.
Our top catching prospects in Single A right now, and yes, he's tearing it up, but you're not calling a guy up from Single A.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all. But
no, I know you're not saying that. I'm just saying in general. There's really nowhere left to turn here unless you want to give up a lot more than you should for a middle of the line catcher. We threw our dice on the table. We went and tried to get the best catcher on the market, and it just kind of burnt us. That's all.
And part of me, with the LaCroix thing, and I don't know if it's a kind of a conspiracy, but it also seems.
No, I think they used this for leverage.
Yeah, that's what I kind of feel like would happen. The Indians also just, they offered a huge amount of stuff, almost, with the
almost not even worth it for Lucroy.
Exactly, and say, hey, let's see if he's gonna bite on this, and he didn't. Yeah. And so the Indians the Indians like, well, look, fans, we went out, we tried, and then obviously they went out and got Andrew Miller, which is fantastic.
I think it was more of a leverage deal on the Milwaukee Brewers because as much as we gave up a lot for Lucroy, Texas gave up so much more. I think actually it was I think it was a leverage deal. I think they knew going into it that Lucroy would not go to Cleveland for whatever reason. Apparently it was because of playing time, which in that case I give credit to the Indians for loyalty for Yan Gomes, but it still doesn't help us at the catcher's position.
Or, they just could have lied and said, oh yeah, you can you'll be the catcher next year. It's like, yeah, you're playing first base. You're on this team.
Yeah, no, I still don't buy the whole. I still don't buy the whole. Okay, we're gonna give up a bunch of our top prospects for a backup catcher.
No, yeah, I always thought that.
I would tell Yan Gomes get a fielder's glove because you're going to first this year.
Well, I always thought, hey, even Lucroy, he's played more first base. I mean, yeah, I know he's only played 40 games, I think, at first base in his career.
Yeah, I mean, that's a situation that's not going to happen, though.
Obviously,
it would be a different conversation if we had Lucroy right now. But that's not besides the point. My point is that we can't. There's nothing we can do because we went out there and we put our money on the table and said, look, here, this is what we want to do. We're going to put all our cards in and we're going to put all our chips in and we're going to try to go for this here. And a little of it backfired. We did get Andrew Miller out of it, which I think was absolutely awesome. But, I mean, unfortunately, the Lucroy deal didn't work out. And I think we just kind of have to deal with the consequences of us not getting a catcher. I mean, the next best catcher on the market was Brian McCann, and Brian McCann, I don't even want to know what the Yankees were asking for them because they were such winners at the trade deadline that they were asking for high prospects left and right.
Yeah, but I also think with Brian McCann being traded now is kind of a leverage deal for both because obviously I think the Yankees, they want to get rid of him because they have
they want to bring up young guys. They're kind of doing what we did last year now. They're kind of saying, okay, let's bring up the young guys. Let's see what we have in our minor league system. That's why they're doing the whole Alex Rodriguez thing, even though I honestly think that's just another stunt for tickets on Friday.
He better hit 4 home runs. That would have been awesome. If he gets 70 in his last.
So he can reach 700.
700. Yeah, that would be so awesome. Because I'm a little pissed off that he's retiring. Now I'm even
Why,
like
why
I
are
like
you pissed? Why are you pissed off?
because look, here's the thing, and this is the problem I did have with the Yankees trying to void Alex's contract. Yeah, Alex fucked up and he got suspended for a year, but you know what? You paid his ass for 10 plus years for $30 million. You have to deal with it, and you have to deal with his 34-year-old or 43-year-old ass, not playing every day. You can't play third.
But
You can't even DH
yeah,
anymore.
he hasn't played a fielding game since last year, and that was early last year.
No, exactly. So it's like Yankees, you
But they are
deserve this.
paying for it though, aren't they? They're paying they're paying every cent of the $27 million that they're gonna owe him, unless some idiot's gonna put a claim on him.
Yeah,
Watch
but
it be Cleveland.
no, you know who I could see? I could see like Tampa Bay doing that because he's from
I
Florida,
could
and Tampa Bay is just
I
like,
could see
what,
Miami
screw
doing it
this.
actually.
Miami
If
too,
it's gonna
Miami
happen, I
too.
could see Miami doing it, but that's not happening.
I
Either
kind of
way,
wish it happens though. Like that'd be so awesome.
but either way, that should be another podcast we do.
Yeah.
We should do one on if Alex Rodriguez deserves to be in the Hall of Fame or not. That would be a good one. I think you and me would be going tooth to tooth on that one.
Well, did you check out my other video I just did yesterday about PED guys? Should they be in the
I
Hall of
didn't
Fame?
check that out. No, I didn't. I didn't think you released one like that.
No, I did because I had a hot take and said, PED users should be in the Hall of Fame because
You
it's
think PED
hypocritical.
users should be in the Hall of Fame? Well,
Yes, and because
then we
it's
should
hypocritical. It's hypocritical of the MLB not to let them in, even though the amount of money those guys made for the league in the mid '90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to keep my arguments at bay on that one because I completely disagree with you on that one. I'll just say this: I don't think cheaters should ever win in a million years. Even though in politics they win all the time. That's beside the point.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Beside the point. Back to the Indians.
Yeah, back to the Indians with the catching situation. I mean, I guess someone like Kurt Suzuki. I mean, he has a vesting option for next year. Like he's hitting 270. Why not?
Did they place him on waivers or did they?
I don't think so. I didn't hear anything about that.
You gotta look. That's where I'm looking at. You gotta look and see if they placed him on waivers or not because I don't know. I mean, again, Terry Ryan. I don't know. I mean, he got fired earlier this year, but I didn't know what the hell his plan was, and I sure as hell don't know what their new general manager's plan is going to be for that. But
yeah, but I don't think 32-year-old Kurt Suzuki is in their future anytime soon.
No, but I don't think so either. I'm just saying I don't know if you're gonna. Like I said, I just think the Indians are gonna sit put. I think we're just gonna kind of deal with it. I think another thing that we need to maybe address is maybe Michael Brantley because I know that he's getting better and I know it's optimistic, but it's been optimistic all year.
Yeah, that.
I really think at some point in time, I mean, as the days go on, the minor league season gets shorter and shorter.
Which is exactly why I'm concerned him and Yan Gomes are in the same book. And I know Yan Gomes, it's like it was a solid 2 months he was gonna be out, and it's like
Yan Gomes is gonna be out of the season regardless because by the time his injury is
it's fully healed, he can't rehab.
No, he can't rehab. There's no way.
Exactly.
You're gonna take him down to the Arizona Fall League and have him rehab with a bunch of rookies.
Exactly.
That's smart.
Exactly. That was my point. You can't trust Yan Gomes, and you're starting. I mean, the clock's ticking, like you just said, with Michael Brantley.
Well, the clock's been ticking for a while with Brantley. Nobody ever just wanted to look at it.
But now it is because you only have.
Oh, it's ticking big time.
You only have 22 games.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 30.
You basically have 2.5 weeks left in the minor league season.
Exactly.
Your clock's ticking.
Yep.
Honestly, I told Todd this. I think I was saying this back in May when Brantley hit the DL again after playing 5 games. I just said, you know what? I think it would be actually smart just to shut him down. Let's stop trying to push him to get back this year. Let's start worrying about him in the long haul. Because honestly, We only have 2 more years of Michael Brantley before he goes and signs some big free agent contract.
Yep, and that was the thing I was extremely concerned about, that we're starting to waste, and we're starting to waste years of Michael Brantley, Jason Kipnis. I mean, even Francisco Lindor a little bit, just because. I mean, if you're Francisco
Francisco will get that extent. I think he will get that extension at some point, so we won't have to worry about him.
Yeah, but
Kipnis,
the amount of money Francisco Lindor should get, he should, honestly, if he's smart, he should just say, no, I'll take my 7 years and I'll be
6 years
28.
actually, but
Well, yeah, 20. Well, now, yeah,
but yeah,
28.
but
I'll be
yeah.
28, 29 years old. I could get a 5-6 year contract worth
Well, and by
$150
that
million.
time it'll be by $400 million if he
Well,
keeps playing the way
exactly.
he is.
So
But
if I'm from Cisco Lindor, I'm like, well, which is why I'm concerned, because especially you see these holes at catcher, the bullpen a little bit, but I mean, I'm not now with Andrew Miller. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but I think you and me can both agree that there is a glaring hole at the catcher spot. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything we can do about that. Like I've stated about a million
No,
times
yeah,
before.
yeah. I mean,
It's just I think again, I'm not trying to look at I know we're kind of getting sidetracked and looking at the bigger picture rather than what we're looking at right now. To me though, I'm not too worried about the whole Francisco Lindor Jason Kipnis thing, because right now this team's contending right now. I mean, I would love to contend 7-8 years from now, but realistically, by 7-8 years from now, all these pitchers are going to be gone. So, I mean, all these pitchers are going to be not what they used to be.
exactly.
So,
and I'm just concerned about wasting years by just being good enough that just need that one other bat that you just couldn't get, whether it was because of Jonathan Lucroy or because you didn't want to give up a prospect. That one bat, and it's just like, if you just got that one guy.
But think about it this way, though. This is really the first year that window is completely open. I mean, I know last year and the years before we've said, okay, we're contending right now. It's just the way the season unfolded. We weren't able to trade at the deadline to try to get better. We were trading for next year. We were trading to get prospects, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it also,
I know we were because
this
contend,
first
but it
full
just didn't
year
work out that way.
But because this is the first full year, though, you only have like 2 more years of this, which is why they went out and got Andrew Miller.
I wouldn't say 2. Well, I wouldn't say. Well, I mean, with Andrew Miller, but who's not to say that something? I don't think that this team has 2 years of contending left, and that's it. I think you're looking more. I honestly think if you play this right, which is why I'm kind of happy the Lucroy deal didn't work out too well, because again, as much as you want to put all your chips in, you kind of want to be smart with it. Because what if you put all your chips in and you play great, but for some reason you lose in Game 7 of the World Series, or for some reason you lose there?
Yeah, but
now, 2-3 years down the road, your window is now closed because you gambled on the first time and didn't work out.
Yeah, but I think with in baseball, I don't know. I think you could call going to the World Series a successful season, just based on how the Indians are building their team. You have like the Cavs. The Cavs were like, it's either win or nothing. But with the Indians, it's like, well, if we get into the playoff, we just need to get into the playoffs, and that's a successful year.
Well,
because our division is so, just kills each other.
Is set up. Think about it this way: the way the NBA is set up, you have 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that even have but you have maybe one team that can really contend against the Cavs, and they're a fly on the wall.
No, yeah.
Nothing more. And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's finals or bust. Because you know that when you get to the playoffs, you're basically marching into the finals with no deep breaths whatsoever. Your biggest competition is either going to be Golden State or San Antonio. I'm just looking at this here. If you go into baseball, it's all about just getting yourself there, because anything can happen. Look at the wild card Kansas City Royals 2 years ago.
But isn't that why you would go for it this year? Because the next few years, just because that window is so short. That's why That's why I mean.
I don't
I
necessarily.
think the
But
Andrew
that's
Miller,
what I'm
but
saying
I
though.
think
I
the
don't
Andrew
necessarily
Miller
think the
deal.
window's short.
I think the Andrew Miller deal says, hey, we know we only have a few years. We only have this year and then next two, and that's basically it. Yeah, Francisco Lindor will be, going into his prime, and he'll be arguably the best shortstop in the entire league.
Kipnis would still be in his prime. Gomes would still be in his prime. Brantley would be out of the picture, but you already have Bradley Zimmer ready to go.
That's also putting a lot on Bradley Zimmer, though. I mean, if he could come in like a Francisco Lindor,
that's why I like
then that's
keeping
awesome.
both Zimmer and Frazier. But the problem was, if you were going to go trade for Miller, you're going to have to mortgage that. I think the window's a little bigger, and I think in baseball, I think it's a little different. I think getting yourself there and getting yourself the opportunity is what matters. I don't necessarily think a roster move or something like that is going to win equal more ball games that you win. To me, if you put yourself in a position every single day to win a ball game, you're going to win more times than you lose.
And I think the Indians have shown that because, you see they're in first place right now. Their pitching rotation is arguably the best in the American League, arguably the best in baseball.
I think this year, I mean, everybody always said the New York Mets had the best rotation in baseball. I think this year it's proven that I think the roles have flip-flopped. I think the Indians have the best one in baseball.
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing. I don't want to waste fantastic starting pitching on, Roberto Perez not even hitting 100 or Chris Gimenez hitting 200.
But think about it this way, though. Like, look at the Mets last year. I know Yoenis Cespedes helped them out a lot, but who was the one person in the playoffs that made the New York Mets go to the World Series?
Murphy.
Daniel Murphy came out. Daniel Murphy came out and performed.
And he's performing right now for the Nationals. He's hitting like 355.
Yeah, but I know, but that's beside the point. What I'm saying is that if you get yourself into an opportunity to win ball games, you're gonna win. You're gonna win more than not. But in baseball, it doesn't matter what your roster is. It matters how good you're playing baseball.
No, and that's an extremely good point. I guess my main thing is it's not really if we get there, then how we play in the playoffs. It's look, we had a huge lead and now it's only down to 2, and based on how everything is, like everyone's playing, Detroit is playing off their rocker, obviously. And obviously they're not going to they're not going to win 7 out of 10 for the next, month and a half.
Here's why I'm not necessarily so concerned about Detroit. 1, we're not facing them until September. 2, I mean, you're not, how do I put it? They're not going to win 7 out of 10 for the next month and a half.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah.
That's not happening. Detroit's pitching is way too weak. That's not happening. That's why I'm not necessarily so concerned. But like I said, like last year, look at their world champion Kansas City Royals. Did they have the best roster in baseball? No. Did they have holes? Yes. But they went out and they were the hottest team in baseball going into the playoffs. They played really good ball throughout the playoffs and they won.
But I think also their team was really Kendrys Morales was hitting 310. Same with Eric Hosmer and Lorenzo Cain. Everyone was hit. They were top players at their respective position last year. Obviously, this year isn't the same. And they had the best bullpen in baseball. I mean, it was unbelievable. And on paper, the Indians are. I mean, Andrew Miller, Cody Allen. Is there a better 1-2 punch?
I think there might be a better 1-2 punch. I don't really necessarily want to get into that. What I'm saying is that I don't necessarily think it matters if your roster's stacked. You could have the best roster on paper ever. You really can. Look at the San Diego Padres last year. They built up this roster, and they were basically stacked.
And you could say the same thing with the Dodgers the past umpteen years.
Yeah. And look at the Dodgers. Yeah, I was about to say, look at the Dodgers for the past how many years? You go to the trade deadline, you get these big-name studs, and you have this stacked roster, and then you drown, basically. To me, it's about just finding what works to win ball games. if the Indians play like this now and they start playing consistent and maybe get a little hot at the end of the season, I think that this team actually will win it all. Because
it
to
is
me,
all
it's not
about momentum at the end of the year.
It's not
That is
about
true.
how you start the season necessarily. It's about how you finish it. And now, as much as roster additions may help you finish it better, I don't necessarily think they're the biggest key in the world. I think the biggest key is just trying to find a way to make it work. And that's what I think makes Tito so great, is that I think he knows how to make stuff work.
And he does, and I have to say, he gets the most out of every single player I've ever seen. I've
never seen a guy get more out of his players. I will agree with that.
I mean, I know I was driving the Tyler Naquin bandwagon after the first game of spring training, and I still am.
Yeah.
No, that's my dude.
You still are. I see a Naquin tweet every single day.
Yeah, exactly. But nobody expected him to, be hitting 220 basically in the 75 games he played, or Jose Ramirez playing 8 different positions and still
probably the best utility man in baseball.
No, yeah, exactly.
Nobody expected Jose Ramirez to hit 400 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah,
nobody expected Tyler Naquin to come out, and I swear to God, if Tyler Naquin isn't the Rookie of the Year, I'm going to smack somebody.
You don't even know. I had a prediction. I did a podcast with my friend Pat, and we did AL Rookie of the Year predictions. He said Joey Gallo, and Joey Gallo spent half the year in the minor league, and I said
Byron hasn't even been in the big leagues.
And I picked Byron Buxton, and I picked Byron Buxton in his 200 batting average with 80 strikeouts in 80 games.
That's part of the beauty of baseball, is that things don't always work out the way that you can predict it. Basketball, it's pretty easy to predict.
No, yeah, it's extremely. I mean, nobody really predicted Yan Gomes to, get hurt.
Predicted Yan Gomes to
nobody predicted Mike Napoli to come in here and hit. I mean, he's on pace for what, like 38 home runs?
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
No, obviously not. But it's like, okay.
But
hit 7 more in a month and a half.
Nobody expected Rajai Davis to come in and be second in the AL in steals.
No one expected any of that.
Nobody expected any of that to happen.
Heck, nobody even expected Carlos Santana to hit 250. Like, he was a career 230. And I mean, that is a really fun part about this team, that it's like every day is someone new.
It's someone new. And that's what I love that's why I love having flexibility. That's why I love a person like Brandon Guyer. Now, I know you weren't necessarily the biggest, Brandon Guyer person, but I just thought, wow, we have a guy now that we can sit here and we can play Ryan Rayburn with. We can have a guy who hits insane against left-handed pitching, and we can mix that in and out. He can play multiple different positions. He can play third. He can go out in the outfield, do a lot of good time. I mean, that's why I thought Steve Pearce would be perfect, but I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there either, because the Orioles, they didn't give up base. They didn't really give up anything for Brandon for Pearce.
I don't know what happened there.
Because Pearce would have been great. He could play first, second, and corner outfield. But Brandon Guyer, he obviously could play all 3 outfield positions. And he matches left-handed pitching.
Third.
No, I don't know. I don't think he plays third. Let me check right now.
I'm pretty sure Guyer can play third. From what I've read, I'm pretty sure he can. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. You can check me on that.
Yeah, no, he's never played third in his career.
Really, he hasn't? I thought he has. My bad.
No, it's cool.
That's my brain fart. That's my brain fart for the day. Either way, I think it was more of the left-handed pitching that kind of got us there. I think, and another thing with Brantley and why I'm trying to say we maybe should shut him down for the rest of the season is because not only do you have a guy like Brandon Guyer now, I mean, as much as you might not want to admit it,
you're talking about Abraham Almonte
is hitting the ball really well.
But you can't count on him because
he's hitting the ball really well.
You can't count on him in the playoffs, though, because he can't play in the playoffs.
But can you count on Michael Brantley in the playoffs when he's injured still?
Michael Brantley, even if it's for one bat,
with no seasoning whatsoever,
Michael Brantley is still.
He's played 5 games this season?
He's played 11 games.
11, but still, that's nothing in a Major League Baseball season.
Michael Brantley is arguably the best hitter in baseball. You can make that argument.
Yes, but has he ever played on a playoff stage before, other than the one wild card game?
No.
Now, note that Almonte hasn't either. But at least Almonte has a decent amount of games under his belt, as to Michael Brantley, who would kind of be caught in a Roberto Perez situation. Not saying that he would hit 089. I'm not saying that. He would still hit decent. I'm just saying that
You're totally wrong. You lost all credibility.
I don't agree with that. I just think I'd rather go with the guy who's played more this year. That's all. I agree with you that Michael Brantley, when healthy and when playing the way Brantley does, is one of the best, honestly, one of the most underrated players in baseball. I think
he's definitely underrated.
He's one of the best 5 players in baseball.
I mean, he was number 3 in MVP voting in 2004. So
I know, and that was the last season he was completely healthy. I mean, like I said though, I think you can live with a guy like Almonte as much as you don't want to admit it.
No, I'm not. No, I can't.
I know you hate Almonte for whatever reason whatsoever.
He's just not good. Really well, he's just not. Far. Okay, yeah. I mean, I will give you this right now. He's hitting 270. It's up from the 200 it was like a week ago. But
yeah, I mean, he's hitting the ball well. I mean, you might as well ride with what's hot.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, you can't even count on him in the playoffs though, because he.
Can you count on an injured Michael Brantley though?
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
No, but what I'm also saying is Abraham Almonte cannot be on the playoff roster if we make the playoffs.
He cannot be on the playoff roster, huh?
Yeah, because he was suspended for a half the year, and that's.
Oh yeah, fair point. Why am I even arguing that? I don't know. Wow, that is just a straight brain fart. I am sorry.
No. But I'm just saying, like, yeah. Even if theoretically Abraham Almonte was healthy or could play on the playoff roster, and Michael Brantley was just coming off his injury, and he had like 10 games of rehab, let's just say he played sparingly in the last 10 games in September.
I completely forgot he got suspended for PEDs.
Yeah.
Sheesh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I'm just saying, in theory, you need one at bat. I'm taking a 80% Michael Brantley over 100% Abraham Almonte. It's not even close. If Michael Brantley can play,
we will be.
I'm taking Michael Brantley.
This podcast has been going on long enough. We don't need another 30 minutes arguing about Abraham Almonte.
No, we don't. So we won't even get into Lonnie Chisenhall because I don't know. I can't. He's been really good this year, but I just can't I still can't trust him. I'm sorry.
Because he's not a big name player.
No, because he's just based on his track record. It's just not like, I don't know what I can expect from him the rest of the year.
If you accept a 300 player who's one of the best right fielders in baseball, I think I can take that.
Yeah, but he was so. I'm just afraid of something like, what was it, 2014, when he was like hitting like.
Oh, when he hit like 370 and then went down to 270, but then the next season came out and hit like 190.
Yeah, and I just don't know if right now it'll just like start decreasing with the more playing time. Now I have to say again, Tito's been playing these guys perfectly and as well as he can. But I just don't know. Same thing with Naquin. I don't know how much I can trust him either.
Well, I think Naquin will eventually kind of cool off a little. I don't necessarily think he might drop below 300. I just think he's gonna cool off eventually. But hot streak as long as he wants to stay hot. I'm not necessarily too worried about that. I think Tito will keep doing what Tito does. I think Brandon Guyer was huge. I think you can play around with that. I mean, you can play around with Almonte for the rest of the season. I don't, honestly, if you want to actually have an actual hot take for once, I will actually say that I don't think Brantley plays another game this season.
No, there's a high probability. I can agree with that.
I mean, I've been saying for the last 2 months that I don't think Brantley plays another game this season.
And it's funny that Peter Gammon's report back in December was like Brantley won't be back till August.
Remember that we were all like, what?
And they're like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, well,
I don't know what you're talking about.
He played 11 games and got hurt again.
Completely right.
Yeah.
He was completely right. Either way, yeah, I think the bullpen will be fine. I think the catcher situation, if anything, will kill us.
That's basically that's my main number one concern. It's like you're not getting any production out of them, and even how like we can both agree that Roberto Perez is a B plus A minus defensive catcher, but if he's not even hitting 200,
say A minus. I still think his arm is not as strong as it could be.
But he's really good defensively.
He's good defensively,
and that's my point. It's not like you have Yadier Molina back there, and he's hitting like 210. It's like no, he's really good defensively, but not to the point of, especially in the American League, where you can say, well, it's just not not worth putting him in the lineup anymore.
But also think about it this way: as a catcher, your job is to, if you're shaking hands at the end of the game, you did your job.
No, yeah, and to an extent, I get that, but it's also it's the American League. In the National League, you could put up with him hitting 100. You just can, just how based on the National League and how they play. There's a lot of bunting. There's a lot of, you could hit him 8th, and he's gonna pitch around. Roberto Perez in the National League is way more valuable because he does walk. Number one, and number two, he's really good defensively. But because it's in the American League and you don't bunt, and you have, it's him hitting 8th or 9th in the American League is just a rally killer. But in the National League, it's a start of something because you pitch around him because of the pitcher.
I agree with you, and that's why.
Hello. Okay. You broke up. Well, this is riveting. Hello, Pete?
Oh, hello?
Yeah, you broke up.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem.
What I was saying was, though, I mean, as much as that may suck, I think that's just something we have to deal with now, unfortunately.
No, yeah. You're right about that.
And honestly, we can only hope for the best. I mean, Perez had 2 hits yesterday, and his swing's looking a little better. I think Jimenez had that huge home run over the weekend. Again, didn't really count for much considering the end of the ball game, but I mean that does count for something. I think you just kind of have to ride with them and pick your spots with them, and just kind of do what Tito does best, and that's basically make the best out of the worst situation.
Yep. A couple more questions I wanted to get at, and then we'll wrap this up.
I was about to say, I have a question for you too if you don't ask it.
What
at me.
Do you have any concern about the Indians' record against top tier opponents? Because it's like it's 11-21 now. I think
I'm aware
22.
I can't. Once again, I think when we talk,
or is it just because of scheduling?
When we talk about playoffs and we talk about all that fun stuff, I think it completely comes down to how you're playing going into the playoffs. So to me, I can't say I'm necessarily concerned about that because, I mean, we could play so well against Detroit for so long at the beginning of the year, but we could go and get swept in what could be one of the most important series of the year in September, and all that meant nothing.
No, yeah.
So either way, yeah, to me, that's not as concerning. I guess you could make an argument with it. To me, I'm not too concerned about that.
And then my next question is, because the Indians put so much focus on getting off to a great start, do you think now we're seeing a little bit of a letdown because of that? They came out of, so in April they went 10-11. And then in May they went 16-13. And then in June they went 22-6. And then in July they went 12-12. And since the 14-game winning streak, they're only 13-17.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because of it's just the dog days of summer, and they only have today's their off day, but they don't have one until
Yeah, they don't
September
have
1st.
basically another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
To me, I think I'm not necessarily so dead set on it because they were so concentrated on getting out of the gates great. I think they all have the mindset of, look, now that we got out of the gates great, we got to stay consistent and play good baseball. I do think that maybe there might be a little bit of a mental mindset because we're so used to having to fight back now
Hmm.
rather than we're kind of in the driver's seat and we're trying to keep on cruise control rather than letting other teams catch up to us. But I think it's just because this is the dog days of the summer, and I think around this time of year, I think it gets really tough for a lot of teams. Not everybody stays hot forever. There's highs and lows in ball. There's highs and lows in a baseball season. And I think the Indians are hitting a low right now. That's all.
No,
We'll get
yeah.
back. They'll get back to it. That's all.
I think they'll come back and be more consistent. And like you said,
Look, I don't need them to have another 14-game win streak. I just need them to play 500 baseball, really.
I mean, I would hope it would be better than 500 baseball.
I would hope it would be better too. I would hope for rainbows and unicorns as well. But
not even just 500 baseball. I'm just saying, like, okay, maybe instead of going, I don't even know how many games are left. But instead of going, 30 and 30, let's just go.
Yeah, you go like 35 and 25 or something like that.
Exactly.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, at the bare minimum, I need you to play 500. That's all.
And that's why I think maybe not having a competent offensive catcher might hurt them in the long run. And I think we already went. And we already went all over that. But you have a question for me? What is?
Yeah. All right. Well, since we're on that topic anyway, I know you're a huge Mike Napoli guy. Just kind of like I really liked what Mike Napoli's done this year, and I thought he was a really huge signing. I never thought he'd be as big as he was this year, but So let me ask you this: do you extend him in the offseason or do you let him walk?
That's
a tough question, isn't it?
That is an extremely tough question because he'll be 34, 35 next year.
Yep.
And you still have an option of Carlos Santana, and he could still play first.
Yeah, but then where's your DH?
Yeah, but I think you could. I mean, okay, so if you're picking between Mike Napoli and Carlos Santana for next year,
it's Carlos Santana.
I'm picking Carlos Santana.
I'm picking Carlos Santana easily.
But if you can get both, and because they went after Andrew Miller, I think that kind of says that says the Indians are actively trying to, they know we have to go for it. Then sure. Yeah, I would extend Mike Napoli for next year and then like an option year.
Okay, so honestly, I didn't think you were too far off. I mean, I thought you would actually be a lot more far off. I thought you'd be like, yes, let's give him a 3-4 year extension.
No, because we've seen that, and I'm not comparing Mike Napoli to Mark Reynolds, but we've seen Mark Reynolds in 2013. He just went crazy, but Mark Reynolds was just like, it's home run or bust with him. At least with Mike Napoli, he works a count. Like he has like the most pitches per at bat of like any player, and then Carlos Santana is third because they both walk so much.
Yep.
Yes, Mike Napoli strikes out a ton. He's on pace for
look at how strikeouts. But they're not usually 1, 2, 3 strikeouts. They're
that's the thing.
2 strikeouts. I agree with you on that. But what I was saying is that my reason why I wouldn't give him multiple years. Actually, I'm right where you were. If anything, I think I'd try to sign him back. I don't think he's gonna come back. I know he's interested in coming back, but he's going to want 3 years and he's going to want 50-60. And I'm not willing to give him 3 years, 50-60.
But I don't think but what other team is going to give him that?
Well, a team that's desperate. We've seen enough desperate teams in baseball, Caitlin.
No, but I just don't see I think he can logically go into free agency and say, okay, this is what this is my aspiration. But it's also, okay, what in reality it's going to come back. It's going to be like the Michael Bourne thing. He might have to wait until February for someone to give him a 3-year contract.
Oh, I agree with you. To me, it's just how do I put it? To me, I can't give him more than 1 year with maybe a club option. because of the fact that every year you get older, your bat speed slows down.
No, yeah, and
Father Time catches up with you.
And I think that's why you can do like a vesting option, like say if it's X
vesting
amount of plate appearances for
I-
the third year. I could.
I think the Indians will try to, just because think about it this way. I mean, look at how much he's meant to the clubhouse, and look at how much he's meant to that. And I think that even says even more that if you're gonna say, look, kind of like how we took the stand with Lucroy and kind of said, if you're not gonna like what we're gonna offer you, then we don't even want you. I think bringing Napoli back would also bring a stance of the clubhouse to say, look, this is our core group of guys. Let's go for it. It's got to be a smart deal. That's all.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't think the Indians aren't in the, they're not one of those teams that are gonna spend money unwisely. That is the one thing I do give the Indians a lot of credit with. And when they do make trades and everything, they don't just like, okay, you get $10 million and you get $10 million. It's like, okay, you know, I do wish sometimes they just would have been like, fuck it, let me spend $20 million on Yoenis Cespedes for a year, just to say, let's just see what happens. But
that makes my heart hurt.
but I'm just saying, like, for 2 years, let's just see what happens, because you have a short window.
I think that's our line, Caitlin. I think that's where we draw the line. I'm a little different on that. I actually don't necessarily disagree with the way the Indians have played this.
No, but I'm saying, like, they played it correctly, but I do wish sometimes they could, instead of, giving Mike Napoli $7 million and Rajai Davis,
you would go and get the big name bat and get the big name guy,
and just give someone $8 million or $18 million and just say, here, there's your $18 million for 2 years. Let's try to win with you. But for the Indians' credit, it worked out, because again, track record says a lot of this doesn't work out with the Indians. And Mark Reynolds didn't really work out, but Mike Napoli.
You went out in what, 2013, 2014, and paid two of the top guys on the market, which were, I know it was a weak free agency market, but you paid Nick Swisher $13 million, you paid Michael Bourn around the same to come do what Rajai Davis and Mike Napoli have done for a lot less.
Well, that's also what I'm saying, and they've played way better than.
That's what I'm saying. They basically are what we imagined Michael Bourn and Nick Swisher being.
No, yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, to me, I think that just comes a lot more down to analytics and what you think is the right. That comes down to scouting. That comes down to what's worth it to you. So like I said, I don't necessarily think the big guy, the marquee guy, is always the best guy. Justin Upton's a perfect example of it. I don't necessarily think that works all the time. It does work some of the times, but not all the time. Indians, I mean, I hope the Indians keep doing it the way they do it, because they do it, in my opinion, a very smart way.
And also, I think you'd have to agree too, with the Kansas City Royals' success, it has shown that it's worked. And it also kind of said, with the Indians saying, hey, the money we spent was to keep our own guys, and we spent money, here and there for Mike Napoli and Rajai Davis and Tommy Hunter and all that stuff. But when push comes to shove, which is why I do like the mindset of going to get Andrew Miller, even though, like I said, it wasn't our biggest need, but hey.
Honestly, I honestly think at the time it was the biggest need, but I mean, again, catcher was awful, but still, I still think it was the biggest need at the time. What I will say, though, is that I think Kansas City showed us that. I mean, I think I've been seeing it develop for years now, but that even big market teams are starting to realize that small market is the way to go. Building your team up through your farm system rather than being a Hal Steinbrenner and buying your team, even though they did buy 27 world championships, which is like the only thing I can't argue with. I to me, it's just, I think nowadays, I think everybody's starting to realize that's the way to go. You build from within, sign your core players, and then you just have pieces to add on to that. You don't build through free agency. You never should build your team through free agency the way I see it. So that's why I think Mike Napoli and Rajay Davis were perfect pickups for what we were trying to do. Now, again, do I think, going back to the whole re-signing Napoli, I don't think you re-sign Rajay Davis just because.
Well, he has an option.
He does have an option. I am aware he does have an option.
And it's not for a lot of money, so I mean, I guess theoretically they can see what he still has. And
theoretically you can, but I would rather do that more. I'd rather not get burnt for that much money on him. We are going to, starting this offseason, get a lot more money because of the whole Nick Swisher and Michael Bourne's contracts being off the books. We're still going to be eating Chris Johnson's contract. But either way, that's beside the point. To me, I think you got to be smart with that. You still have Jesus Aguilar in the minor leagues, which is what nobody wants to hear me say. But
I didn't think Jesus Aguilar was going to be mentioned at all.
Yeah, you still. I know. Like I said, I don't think anybody wants to hear me say that. But I mean, Jesus Aguilar, he's a guy that really deserves a shot. He really does.
But but the Indians aren't in the. They're not in the market of giving people a shot, though. That's the thing, especially if they're trying to win now, and especially because they went out and got Andrew Miller.
Well, what I'm saying is that I understand you're not in the market for that, but you tell me this. Would you rather overpay for a Mike Napoli, end up having to give him 1-2 years more than you wanted to, and then get burnt on that, and then have to eat all of that, and then still have to go down and get Jesus Aguilar anyway because you didn't have a choice?
Yeah, but I don't think the Indians, if they re-sign Mike Napoli, they're gonna overpay him to a crazy extent. It'll be like a Ryan Rayburn type thing. It'll be for like a year and then a club option. I think if that's
what they're going to go for. But
that's what they're going to offer. But I don't think
it's going to be for Mike Napoli though, because
I don't think they're going to overpay for Mike Napoli because they could get another guy to replace him. They could get like Steve Pearce. He's going to be a free agent. If they really wanted to, they could replace Mike Napoli with.
Yeah, but I honestly think Steve Pearce is going to be getting a lot more money than Mike Napoli is.
I mean, they're both the same age though, and Mike Napoli can crush both right-handed and left-handed pitching.
Yeah, fair point. But like I said, again, I don't necessarily think we can really argue this right now because we don't know what the market for Mike Napoli or Steve Pearce is going to be yet. Now, we know what it realistically could be, realistically what it should be, which I think we can both agree if the Indians are smart and they do it the right way, we should go and get him for 1-2 years on a club vesting option. But again, we don't know what the market is. I mean, so that's just something we have to wait on.
I mean, quickly, just because I just Googled it right now. Let's see. So first baseman, it will basically be someone like Encarnacion.
Encarnacion's on the market this year, isn't he?
Yeah, Mark Trumbo, if you want him to play first.
This is going to be an interesting market.
Matt Wieters, I guess if he makes the transition to first base, I guess he could. Same thing with Neil Walker. I could see a lot of these guys starting to play first base a lot.
Yeah, but let's think about it this way, though.
Don't want him to play outfield. You could put him at first base.
Yeah. Ooh, goodness gracious. That's going to make it a lot harder because you're going to pay those guys money. Well, other teams are going to go out and pay a lot of those guys big money.
All right, I have the official third baseman list.
Yep, and the demand for a guy like Mike Napoli and a guy like Steve Pearce is going to skyrocket.
All right, so here's the first baseman list. There's only a handful of names. Encarnacion, Ryan Howard, but I don't even know about that.
I don't even know about that either, even though I could actually see the Indians doing that.
I mean, he has a $23 million club option, but with a $10
But
million
the Phillies aren't
buyout.
gonna pick the Phillies aren't gonna pick.
No, they're not.
They're not.
I don't know. He just might retire, I think.
He might, but yeah, like I said though, if he does, I actually wouldn't doubt seeing the Indians try to do that. Because I mean, not saying that Mike Napoli is the same as Ryan Howard, not in
No.
any means. But what I'm saying is, if you really want a replacement for Mike Napoli, Ryan Howard, if you're looking on the free agent market and not in your minor league system, Ryan Howard is the way to go on that one.
Well, and then there's also, Adam Lynn, James Loney, Mitch
Yeah, but Adam
Moreland.
Lynn's only really good against lefties, really.
Yeah, but he can still hit for power. Logan Morrison, Brandon Moss, Mike Napoli, Steve Pearce, Sean Rodriguez, Carlos Santana, because he has but I think we'll resign
But we'll
him.
pick up.
Yeah, we'll pick up the $12 million option.
That's easy.
And that's basically it. Because you could probably get him and then find a DH somewhere. Maybe it's like a David Freese or a Martin Prado or
even though David Freese
Turner.
I would love a Martin Prado on this team.
Martin Prado would be extremely good. You know what? Who I'd really love? Like Colby Rasmus. That's my guy.
Colby Rasmus would be a decent option too. I would like Martin Prado a lot better just because you can play him so many places and he hits solid for you.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely.
Either way, I just think to me that again, we'll see how it plays out. I think it's way too early to kind of really like get into the nitty gritty of it. Maybe we'll have one in the winter when this all starts. But
yeah, and maybe I just went down the list of DH. Maybe Carlos Beltran wants to play one more year. Maybe.
Yeah.
And then I could put him at DH, and then
I wouldn't put my point in that basket.
No, I'm just saying. You never know.
Yeah, but either way, yeah, it's just that market to me already screams to me that Encarnacion is going to get some big time money, and that's going to make that's going to make basically what Mike Napoli is worth skyrocket.
Yeah, but they're both. Mike Napoli is older than Encarnacion, though.
Yes, but that doesn't. Remember, in free agency, people like to. It's free agency to me is like Vegas. People do a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't see someone overpaying for Mike Napoli.
I can
a 35-year-old Mike Napoli. I don't see anyone giving him a 4-year contract. Just based on 1 year, because okay, you go back, you take it, you subtract this year. In last year, he hit .224 with 18 home runs. In 2014, he hit .248 with only 17 home runs. He's on pace this year to hit more home runs than any time in his entire career.
Yeah, and there's no way he's going to replicate that in the next
Which is exactly why for $12 million, if you could get 20 home runs from him next year, I think that's more.
And I completely agree with you. I'm not trying to say that realistically what's going to like what I mean when it comes to what he should be worth. I agree with you that he's not worth a 4-year deal. I'm not trying to argue that. What I'm trying to say is that people get desperate in free agency. We saw what happened with us with Nick Swisher. We got super desperate with Nick Swisher. We got super desperate with Michael Bourn. We were
okay. So I think the Michael Bourn was valued way better, but I think we did. But Nick Swisher, I think we extremely overpaid for him.
Yeah, you agree, but do you get what I'm saying though? You get desperate.
No, yeah, but I just don't see someone getting desperate from 35-year-old Mike Napoli. That's my point. That's basically.
You know what? I can agree with you to a point on that I don't see necessarily. I'm just saying I'm not denying that it won't happen. I kind of see it. That's all. I could be completely wrong. I could completely be off the boat on that, but you could also be completely off the boat on that.
Yeah, and we don't really know yet.
Only the market will tell on that.
It's
way too, and you never know. I mean, Mike Napoli. I mean, he's already openly said that he would love to come back next year. So I mean, you never know. We might, but before the end of the season, we could already be talking another 1-year extension coming through. If that's what Mike Napoli's priorities are, we don't know what his priorities are. If we're not in that clubhouse. I'm not Mike Napoli's brain. I don't know what his priorities are. I'm just making predictions off what I know.
No, yeah.
So Yeah, either way, we just had basically an hour and a half podcast.
Hmm.
Anybody who really listens to this, I feel so sorry for.
Hey,
Um,
I mean, there's a lot of loyal fans. I mean, you never know.
I mean, I've been getting tweets ever since this started. Hashtag hot takes. Hashtag yeah. Um. So yeah, I mean, I think we covered a lot today.
I think yeah, we covered a shit ton of stuff, and
Ton.
I hope we could, we'll definitely do this again, and hopefully we're talking about, the postseason prediction for the Indians.
Yep. Hopefully something like that, or hopefully like in the off season we're talking. I mean, hopefully it's something optimistic. And I mean, thank you for having me on. This is
No,
absolutely
thank you.
fun.
And if you're still listening, you could follow Pete on Twitter at Pete Horner 13.
Yep,
And
absolutely. Follow me. Hit me up
and
if you. I can. I'm always open to argue tribe.
yeah,
Seriously.
yep. So again, Pete, thank you for coming on, and I'll definitely be arguing with you in the future.
All right. Absolutely.
All right.
Good day, guys.